stops us in our tracks. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Hello, welcome to Raw Recovery and Love Prevails podcast. Usually a Trudging Together podcast. Today, Tara and I have decided to combine forces. We can't even figure out whose podcast is going to be. We're arguing over it's no, it's yours. No, it's yours. Welcome, Tara. We've had a great conversation so far. It's awesome to have you. Welcome.
Thanks, Deanne. It's good to be here.
Absolutely. I'm going to put the chat overlay on here. A lot of times people like to ask questions, things like that. So we'll get that set up here. Looks like it's still trying to load there. But what I'd like to do is kind of hand it over to you while I'm kind of setting some things up here. I'm going to get it on over to your Facebook here. So.
All right, thank you, Deanne, and thank you for having me on. So I'm just going to go ahead and introduce my business, if that's all right with
Absolutely.
you.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, with Love Prevail, we offer intervention support services. So there's a lot of people out there who are watching their loved ones struggle with
Yeah.
addiction. And as a mother of two girls that struggled with addiction, I know how hopeless that feels. It's hopeless. You feel like you've failed as a parent.
Yep.
Um, I was lost, alone. I didn't know where to turn. And through our journey, it's actually my oldest daughter and I are doing this together.
Yeah.
She kind of does work on the back end, but I have such a heart for these parents that are so
And
lost,
thank you.
and so that is how I got into Love Prevails, and we're here to work with the family members to get their loved ones into treatment, and what I do. And if you have any viewers out there that are watching their loved one struggle, I hope that they connect with me.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not sure. Did we put my contact info out there for people?
Not yet, but I'll make sure that it gets tagged when we do when we because we'll still post it out and everything. We can always go in and edit, but I'll make sure that when the full version really comes out, we'll make sure your email and things are in there. We'll absolutely
Cool.
make sure that people are able to contact you.
Thank you.
And I would like to say thank you for that because a lot of people don't understand that this is a family disease and it involves everyone. Did you kind of grow up in an alcoholic home or that maybe just kind of start with your children?
I did not grow up in an alcoholic home
Okay.
at all. Now I have I grew up in a home that was really strict. There was
Okay.
no alcohol in my home at all.
Mm,
Whether or not, so I know the alcoholism on the extended family members, a lot of it,
sure.
but my parents, no, there wasn't any when I was growing up. What about you?
Oh, they're all drunks. My biological father was alcoholic, and I say was because he's passed. He died with 54 years of sobriety. My mom's in recovery also, 43 years of sobriety. She did um, a lot of work with detox. She worked at Arapahoe House forever and a day.
Wow.
So DUI classes mostly. Um, Mostly, between her and I, because like my tagline on Facebook is I ruin drinking careers. That's kind of what I do. But
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. I mean, I've kind of gone through it myself. My daughter who is now sober also, we kind of went through that also. And it is really tough when your child is drinking because, they don't want to listen to you anyway. You're already the person they kind of, battle with,
Hmm.
and what would be some helpful hints? Let's say somebody is kind of dealing with a teenager who thinks it's better to go drink and maybe use drugs. What are some things the family could do, that might be able to help them find treatment or even help with their own sanity.
Right. Now, I can tell you what I did in my experience and kind of what I
Great.
talk to the families I work with because I when it came to me and watching my girls struggle with addiction, one of them struggled a lot longer than the
Okay.
other. Um, and they're very, very different.
Yeah.
And so I had a lot of experience by the time I got to my oldest of doing things all the wrong way.
Okay.
Um, I went to a lot of, sought out a lot of help from a lot of different
Okay.
avenues. And one in particular, they were very adamant of setting these hard boundaries.
Okay.
And you got to be real careful when you're setting boundaries.
Oh yeah.
Can you really follow through? And
Mhm.
what are the consequences of those boundaries? Now,
Yep.
I am very much an advocate of
Me
boundaries.
too.
There are times when you have to really consider
Abs-
what are consequences of those boundaries,
Yeah.
not so much for you, but for
But for them.
that person that's
Yeah.
struggling. And as I was setting these hard boundaries, I was actually pushing my daughter out further and further and further. And by the time she did get help, the things that we went through were terrifying.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I went through all the emotions related to grief, every one of them. It
That
started
makes
with
sense.
anger and what did I do wrong? I'm a failure, until I realized, oh my gosh, this is serious. I'm going to bury my
Yeah.
dog. I even bought a black dress because I knew I was going to
Wow.
bury her.
Wow.
And when I took a step back and kind of reevaluated and I started loving her through it, I listened to phone calls. Ooh, I was there for her and I stopped judging
There
her.
you go.
That's when she got help.
That's when love prevailed,
Yep. And love prevailed.
which is I
Exactly.
bet exactly where that came from. I went through the same thing with my daughter, because I came to the conclusion of this. Well, number one, I was an absentee father because of my alcoholism, and I'm an alcoholic. So different journey, but kind of the same setup. And when she did finally decide drinking wasn't for her anymore, the first thing that she said to me was, Dad, I came to you because you're the only person that doesn't judge me. And there it was. I'm like, and somebody had told me, he said, Dion, your children are never going to listen to anything you say. You know this, but they're going to do everything that you do. So what did I do? I went and got better. And I just became a better person each day, hoping that one day she'd be like, that's the dad I want. That's the dad that
Hmm.
I wanted because I wasn't it before. And
Yeah.
so I found that changing my behavior helped them out, you know. And I would tell her, I know you drink, but but I love you. That doesn't mean you can't come over. It doesn't mean we can't enjoy ourselves. It doesn't mean that you don't get to be a part of. I'm not going to do that to you because my parents did that to me. I grew up in the era of tough love, and I am not a fan of tough love, especially when
I
it's used on
mean,
me.
yeah, I'm a fan of it to a point.
Yes, to where it's
Yeah,
healthy
there
boundaries.
comes a point, like right now, if you're not going to have a job, I'm not going to pay your bills. You
Yeah,
know, so I mean, there is a level to that. I would I'd drive around and go look for her. I'd drive around, sit
yeah,
outside where I knew she was staying, and I would just watch and watch and watch. And one time I drove to go see her, just made sure she was a part of our Christmas, as a part of everything
yeah.
I could possibly. I'd go get her,
Awesome.
take her to coffee, take her to lunch.
Yeah,
But there was one time she had gotten locked out of the place she was, and I could tell she had had a really rough night.
yeah,
And I just walked up there, hugged, said, "What can I do to help?" She goes, "Can you lift me up over this wall?" So I gave her a boost. The biggest regret I had that I didn't know what else.
yeah,
And it was just really just a few months after that when I hoisted her up over a wall that she called and said she thinks she's ready.
yeah. Because you were there. you supported her through the good and the bad, you know.
Yeah.
I think that to me, that's just, it fills my heart with joy. I mean, there's, because for a recovered alcoholic, there's nothing better than watching other people reclaim their lives and get their lives back, especially when they're a little bit younger. That really, it fills my
Hmm.
heart with a lot of joy. Um,
Right.
that's good. So what kind of made you decide, was it your experience, or what made you kind of decide to get into intervention? And, what are some of the mistakes people make, like trying an intervention without an interventionist? My family
So
tried that.
just me being completely lost and not knowing where to
Sure.
turn.
Okay.
And I did reach out to a couple interventionists, and I learned that some are in it, they just want the money.
Yep.
They're in it for the money,
Okay.
and others are, they truly
Yep.
care. And the first one that I came in contact with, they were in it for the money. They
Hmm.
wanted me to sign a contract after the contract, or when I my own daughter into rehab. And then the other one that I came in contact with was for any money, but was giving me advice on how to move forward. And so a lot of it is I was so lost. I want other people to not be lost. And the benefits of doing, I got lucky.
Hmm.
I was able to get my girls into treatment. And how, I don't know, but I did. And that's a whole different story all on its own.
Yeah.
But I honestly got lucky. When you're trying to with somebody without an interventionist, is you're intervening with somebody who's already closed off.
Yes.
They're already closed off. You've got a lot of you
Mhm.
have the years of letdowns, um the writing, there's so much baggage that you're bringing with you when you are intervening with somebody. And so when you're bringing in somebody like me, I don't have that baggage.
Exactly.
Plus, I have a life experience
Mhm.
that allows me to, if you don't have life, if you don't have experience in your own life, then you're not really coming at it from a place of empathy, understanding.
Yep.
It can be more judgmental, even though you don't mean it that way.
Yep.
And whereas somebody like me, I'm coming in with a fresh slate. This person's done nothing
Hmm.
to have resentment from me. And so I can relate a little bit different, a lot differently
Absolutely.
than a family member.
Because I have found, because like I was saying, my daughter is sober now. I like, if I have I have a sponsee, and he's done some moving and some stuff. I called him this morning. I'm like, I haven't seen you at meetings. You need to get your butt to meetings. Don't forget about meetings, right? But if I call my daughter and try and do that, I can't do it. Everything else starts to pile in, and it just comes out yabba dabba do it. Like, yeah, I hope you're having a good day, because it's like I can't I can't cross that line.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of Law and Order, and one of the detectives, something will happen to their son when they're like, "Well, you need to stay out of this case. It's too personal to you." Of course, they do it anyway, but it's the same thing. When I'm personally involved, it's a lot harder, and that's why we need that extra person. That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. My daughter was having trouble. One of my daughters having trouble finding a sponsor. I looked at her and I said, "Would you like for me to sponsor you? I could be to do that for you." And she looked at me like, "No, I do not."
And then she found a sponsor.
Not yet, but she's
She's okay. We can talk a little bit after.
it's a
I know some
it's
very,
a
very
it's
great women
yeah,
sponsors. I really do.
it's a
So
personal journey, and
it
so
is.
she'll find her way just like I had to find mine.
Yeah, it's not a one size fits all. And I'm sure even in intervention, even though alcoholics all have the same excuses, it seems. I wouldn't mind running a couple of things by you, of things that I've noticed. Um, because almost every alcoholic seems to be in denial of the fact that they're hurting people. Well, I'm not hurting anyone. I'm not hurting anyone. And once somebody like you or me comes along and describes how they're hurting them, they seem to want to change. Once they come to the
Sometimes.
realization that they are hurting everyone around them, that seems to be a pretty good reason to want to change. What are some of the other reasons that you've kind of found?
Some of the other reasons, I think that when you're doing an intervention and you've got all your loved ones there and that person can see, oh, they really do care about me. That makes a difference. Also, what makes a difference is when you're faced with an ultimatum,
Yeah.
we're going to not pay your rent anymore, or we're going
Okay.
to, life is going to change for you drastically. Sometimes that's a good incentive.
Okay.
Um, when you're deep in your addiction, telling somebody how much they're hurting people, that's not really registering.
Okay.
Um, but when your money is going to be cut off,
Okay.
your ability to live comfortably in your addiction is going to be cut off, that can really change. Also, seeing your family members there and realizing they really do care about me, that sometimes can have an emotional impact.
Sure.
And that is, everything is really short lived. And so when you're an interventionist or intervention and you're presenting these things, it's super
Yeah.
short. So you want to move fast because, you know, somebody who's active in their addiction, that next fix is by far more
Yeah.
important than absolutely anything else.
Like,
I know there are a lot of people that living on the streets is an option
abs-
because of their
when
addiction.
I was 17, I was living on Skid Row. I wasn't living on the streets. I was on Skid Row. And
Hmm.
and there we are. So, sometimes it's the consequences that they are no longer willing to accept that helps bring on that change. Um,
Yeah.
but it always seems to start with some kind of pain, and maybe discovering that pain to get them motivated. And it's a tough one. It's a balance because it's not like we're saying they're a bad person or that they're horrible, things like that, but their behavior is not acceptable. At least it wasn't
Hmm.
for me, which is why I was like, my parents had places. There are places I could have gone, but I chose the alcohol over having a roof over my head or following my parents' rules. So the
And
consequence
sadly,
was
that's
no home.
that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. There wasn't anything
Yeah.
that was probably the best thing my mom could have done. And it was probably the hardest thing
Yeah.
she ever did in her life, too. Yeah.
Yeah. I do see that there's quite a few comments, but I can't really read them
Um,
from here.
yeah, we've had a good couple. People are mostly saying hi. Leisure says, I've had a lot of friends in the program. I was trying to bring up the chat, but it's just still going in a circle. So it's not doing what it's
Mm,
supposed to be doing. Leisure says, I've had a lot of friends in the program share the same thought with me that our children seem to be raised differently. Uh,
hmm.
and then my friend Amber was asking, is this live? So I wrote her a note, said, yes, this is
Yeah,
live.
it
So,
says live on my end. So tell me, about you. How did you get into this, and what is your ultimate goal for what you do?
oh, great questions. I love these questions. That's why I like talking with you. You ask me harder questions. Um, but isn't just the why you're doing what you do, what you're up to. To make mine kind of short, the main reason I do what I'm doing now, number one, is because I like helping people. I've been there before. I have a lot of empathy, and I get a great joy. In fact, I would go as far to say I am addicted to watching people recover. It's a good addiction to have. I get a thrill out of it. I get that same high that I did when I was out there drinking and doing whatever I was doing. Except I don't come off of that high. I don't crash. There's a lot of love and joy and stuff in it. Um, you know, I've kind of had a tumultuous past. And, the first time I got sober, I was 18 years old. I was in a place called the Phoenix Concept. It is
Hmm.
now owned by Sobriety House, which is government. But back then, it was just a bunch of Skid Row alcoholics paying their rent. It was amazing. It was one of the original. So that was in 1989. I went on to be on a team called the West Side Drug Free Youth Team, and and that was prevention. We used to go around to the local high schools and middle schools and put on a play, answer questions about drugs and alcohol. And and at one point, I think I was about 9 months sober. We had done it, well, I was 6 months sober because it was September and we were doing the drug free walk. We were just talking about that earlier. See, this was 1989, back when it was run by Arapahoe House. And so we did the drug free walk with the governor, right? And we ended up at the Capitol, and the governor, because we had just won the governor's award for best prevention group, asked if I would speak. And there were thousands of people there. And I remember the thrill because I like being the center of attention. And if I can help somebody and do that at the same time, it's the bit. And from there on, that's when I was 18, well, about 19 at that point. And it was from that point on that I knew I wanted to help people. When I was 20,
Yeah.
I became one of the youngest drug and alcohol counselors to get certified in the state. I went to work at Abraham Lincoln High School through Arapahoe House. If anybody's familiar with that school, I had a lot of work to do. And you know, since then I've worked detox. I worked detox when we were very successful, and now I work detox with it being, I don't know, probably the most unpleasant job I've ever had. You know,
Right.
so I've worked detox when I loved it because I like working detox when I can help people, and I've worked detox and felt very so. There's reasons why I do. There are a couple of reasons why I do what I do. Number one, I don't want people to go through the last 10, 15 years of literal hell I had to go through. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
requirement. I don't believe in rock bottom. I believe that denotes a qualification to get sober. There's your bottom. If you stubbed your toe and you're sick of it, great. Let's get sober. Let's do something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need the reason why. Let's just do it. Um, and another reason why I do what I do is because there's a lot of people out there abusing other people, and it's just something I do not tolerate. Not something I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
get into too much here. My listeners know what I do. So now I do a lot of advocating also. We're getting ready to put a new detox in Adams County. And at one point, they're like, we need to make it all fluffy. And I'm like, no, this can't be too nice. We don't want them staying. Okay. We don't need them staying there. There's a balance here. So I've been working with that and trying to help them get more peer led services and stuff in there with the right people. So lately, I've been doing a lot of advocating. This year, since there's no money, I'm trying to send people to the right places, like with you. I met you. You're a great interventionist. You and I, we've had a couple of talks now. And I usually know probably within the first 5 minutes on whether something's going to come out, if there's going to be any fruition coming from that or not. I've gotten pretty good with that because it it's kind of hard in Colorado because in order to help somebody, you got to cut through some red tape first. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm trying to remove those barriers. If I can cut through that tape for all of us to come on through, then that's what I'm gonna try and do. But I believe that recovery is free and simple. It's kind of how I am. Um, and the last reason is because I believe that alcoholism runs in the family. It certainly runs in mine. And I want this stuff to be around for my grandchildren so that they have a chance to make it.
Right.
What they call it, planting trees of which you'll never get to sit in the shade. Is that kind of a concept? You know,
Yeah. So
so
that just keeps going and going and
yeah, you know, I believe that you can break some generational curses of anger and those types of things, but I don't think alcoholism is something that I'm able to break as a generational curse kind of thing because I believe that we're
mm-hmm.
born with it. Not
Right.
everybody, but I believe I was. Um, because I can't remember a time when I didn't act like an alcoholic. I really don't. Even before I
Mm-hmm.
started drinking, I was pretty.
Right.
I did whatever I wanted, so I was that kind of kid. Um,
Yeah.
so I have a lot of reasons, but mostly just because I'm really good at helping people, and it's the one thing that I really like. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then there are mental health issues. I'm diagnosed with 5 different mental illnesses. a 9 to 5 job working in a box, I can't do it. So at one point, my therapist and my wife told me that I'm not allowed to work unless I'm helping other people. So I kind of go along that line. So I do everything that I can to educate. I go live a lot. I run my mouth a lot, but I'm trying now. What I'm doing now is I'm finding other people going through what I'm going through, and I'm trying to bring us together, right? So that,
Mhm.
like you and I, we're sitting here, we both have the same intentions, and I'm looking for people with the same intentions as me. Um, yes, my lives go worldwide, but I'm about my community. I do this so I can continue to help my community, my neighborhood. And
Right.
that's what I believe, that recovery, uh, to have recovery, we need community, not government. Government doesn't equal recovery. Community does. And we do
Right.
this together. We shouldn't have to worry about government funding to help this person. So, and
Hmm.
I don't believe in that. I believe that I have skills, and I don't really charge for what I do because it was given to me freely, you know.
Right.
But I very much enjoy it. Um, like I said, it's almost just another addiction for me.
Hmm.
Right? So
No, that.
and that's kind of it in a nutshell. Um, I do kind of have my other reasons, um, but I also, probably, and I skipped the most important one. If I don't give it away, I don't get to keep it,
Right.
and the more I give it away, the more I get to keep it. And now I
Hmm.
feel like seeing Red Hot Chili Peppers, give it away, give it away, give it away now. I break into song.
Right.
It's part of my stemming. My stem
I
line
love
put off.
it. I hope I don't go off camera, but what I'm going to do is to find my contact information so that if people want to reach out to me, they
Oh,
can.
and put it on the screen. Now,
Yeah,
do you have a website, right?
I do. And all of
Okay.
that's going to be in here.
So while you are doing that, I'm going to do a little bit of work in the background here. All right, and I'm going to. Oh,
You see
it's
it?
not listed there. I will find it. Yep, there it is. All right. So, there we are. So what I'm going to do is we're going to do, and thank you everybody for being patient, but you will appreciate this. All right, so we're just going to share, we're going to go ahead and share your website. All right, so here's her website. It is loveprevailsllc.com. And if you don't get this in time, if maybe you can reach out to me. I will make sure that you get to her. She has her services here, which is sober. She has sober peer, family services, intervention. Let's go check out some resources. Woohoo! Understanding the 12 steps of AA. So it looks like you're working on that. Of course, here's her phone number, 720-258-6553. If you want to reply, here's her. And I like this because there isn't a bunch of stuff here, and that's people tend to fill up their web pages. So, and then you can book online. How convenient is that?
It's nice. So I hope that, your listeners take advantage of it, reach out to me. There's people and I was one of them who didn't even know they struggled with addiction.
Yeah.
And so
What are
what's
what
really
are
great
some
about these
signs?
podcasts,
What should we
pardon,
be looking out for?
for individuals
Yeah, I mean, let's say
themselves.
we're not sure if somebody might have a problem with addiction. What are some of the behaviors of some of the younger people maybe that we should kind of keep an eye out for?
Gosh, there's so many, but the ones that come to mind for me are isolation,
Okay,
change in personality, or
okay,
somebody that um you know that's usually a good indication of a lot of different things that are going on, especially if they're super outgoing, happy, and then they become sad and so
Okay.
happy. Somebody who's drinking into oblivion all the time, they think they're having fun, but they're making a lot of bad choices. Um, I met somebody this weekend who was worried about their friends being alcoholics.
Okay.
We were talking, we had a really great conversation, and she had just finished telling me that she had made a really poor choice that night. She ditched
Okay.
friends, went home with a boy, didn't have a whole lot of recollection, but had a lot of regret.
Okay.
And in our conversation, she goes, "How much does rehab cost?"
Yeah.
They said, "Well, it depends. There's what kind of insurance you have, or if you're self-pay." I said, "What's your purpose for asking me that?"
There you go. Great
And
question.
she goes, "I don't know. I'm not an alcoholic." And I said, something inside of you needed to know the answer to that question. What is your purpose for asking that? Oh my gosh.
And here comes the floodgates.
Yeah. And so that's all it took. And so he'll contact me,
I hope so.
but
I hope so.
we'll see. But the seed is planted,
That's
and
it.
and she's going to be thinking about that. She's
Oh,
going to be
she's
thinking about that.
not done. Yeah. Sometimes sometimes that's all we can do is listen, plant the seed. The one thing I try not to do is get like too in their face or anything. I don't want to upset them. I want them to feel like they can come to me. I'd
Yeah.
like to add one onto that. Listen to your intuition. When it came to my kids, I just ignored my intuition. And I
Hmm.
kind of wish I wouldn't have done that, or maybe we could. So listen to your intuition because it's probably right. You're probably correct on that. And then of course stick to the facts. Work with facts, not feelings on that. So I think
Right.
it's cool that because when you do what we do, you could be standing in the grocery line helping somebody out. I mean, it's just that's what's great about it. Um,
And I literally do that everywhere I go. I'm talking to people, passing out my
yeah,
card.
every chance I
Every
Well, it used to be, back in the 90s, one in every 10 people was affected by drugs and alcohol. Now with fentanyl and opiates, everyone's on the table. I don't know if
Yeah.
you can talk to anybody out there, at a reasonable age, and you'll find that they've been affected by drugs and alcohol one way or another, either by death or somebody that they know that's just out of control.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's hard. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Tara. I know a lot of the audience was probably used to the storytelling and things like that, so this is probably a little different for them. Um, I'm always looking for speakers for Raw Recovery, so feel free to reach out. My phone number is 720-519-9702, or you can email me at trudgingtogether.com or trudgingtogether@gmail.com. Or you just put in my name anywhere, Dion Miller. You'll find me. It's not hard to find me. So I'm always looking for speakers. No, you don't have to be in AA. It could be any kind of recovery road. I support them all. Well, I support the ones that work. But so yeah, recovery is not about competition. It's about sharing our resources and referring to other people that is a right fit for who you're working with. And that's how we do things in the system. So
Yeah. And I am also always looking for speakers. I hope that you take some time to visit my website. Please reach out to me if you have any questions. I'd love an opportunity to speak with you.
it's great. This has been a great conversation. I think we had some good points for everybody. This is mostly an introduction, and I'd love to have you back on. Maybe we could make it a recurring thing, see how it works
Yeah.
out. Um, and yeah, thank you for taking your time. It's very much appreciated.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, for all my listeners out there, thank you for being here. I appreciate. I love you. You know I do. Peace out.